Memphis, 1974. The stage lights blazed like 1,000 suns, but 12-year-old Sarah Mitchell couldn't see any of them. Born blind, she'd spent her entire life in darkness, yet her voice could light up the world. When Elvis Presley invited her on stage that August night, nobody knew they were about to witness something that would echo through history. What happened next brought the king of rock and roll to his knees and left 75,000 fans in tears. This is the true story of how one girl's courage and one song changed everything. Sarah Mitchell lived in a small apartment on the outskirts of Memphis with her grandmother, Martha. The wallpaper was peeling, the floors creaked with every step, and the windows rattled when the wind blew hard. But none of that mattered to Sarah. She'd never seen any of it anyway. What Sarah knew was music. From the moment she could form words, she was singing. Her grandmother would hum old gospel hymns while cooking breakfast, and Sarah would join in, her tiny voice surprisingly pure and strong. By age 5, she could harmonize. By age 7, she was composing her own melodies in her head. "That child's got something special," the neighbors would say, listening through thin walls as Sarah practiced hour after hour. Her voice had a quality that was hard to describe: raw emotion mixed with technical perfection, innocence blended with ancient wisdom. When Sarah sang, people stopped what they were doing and listened. But life wasn't easy for the Mitchell family. Martha worked 2 jobs, cleaning offices at night and taking in laundry during the day just to keep food on the table. Medical bills from Sarah's condition had piled up over the years, and there was never enough money left over for luxuries, like music lessons or a proper piano. Sarah attended the Tennessee School for the Blind, where she learned to read Braille and navigate the world without sight. But it was in the school's small music room where she truly came alive. She would sit at the old upright piano during lunch breaks, teaching herself to play by ear, her fingers dancing across the keys with supernatural precision. Her music teacher, Mr. Henderson, recognized her extraordinary gift immediately. "Sarah," he told her one afternoon, "you have something that can't be taught. You feel music in a way most people never will. Your blindness isn't a limitation. It's helped you hear things the rest of us miss." Those words planted a seed in Sarah's heart. Maybe, just maybe, her voice could be her way out of poverty. Maybe it could help her grandmother retire from those grueling night shifts. Maybe it could prove to the world that a blind girl from Memphis could be somebody. She started entering local talent competitions, with Martha scraping together entry fees and bus fare. Sarah never won the judges, seemed uncomfortable with a blind child on stage, or perhaps they simply couldn't see past her disability to recognize her talent. But she kept trying, kept singing, kept believing that someone, somewhere, would truly hear her. That someone turned out to be Elvis Presley himself. It started with a letter, a simple, handwritten note that Martha helped Sarah compose one rainy Tuesday evening in July 1974. They'd heard on the radio that Elvis was planning a massive concert in Memphis, his triumphant return to his hometown after years of performing in Las Vegas and touring internationally. "Dear Mr. Presley," Sarah dictated as Martha carefully formed each word on the paper. "My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I am 12 years old. I have been blind since birth, but music has given me sight in ways I cannot explain. Your songs have been the soundtrack to my life. When I sing Amazing Grace or How Great Thou Art, I try to sing them with the same heart you do." The letter went on to explain Sarah's dream not to become famous, but simply to sing for someone who would truly understand what music meant to her. She asked if there was any way, any possibility at all, that she might be able to meet him, maybe sing for him privately, before or after his concert. "I know this is a big request," the letter concluded. "I know you must get thousands of letters. But I promise you, Mr. Presley, if you give me just 5 minutes of your time, I will sing for you with everything I have." And maybe, just maybe, you'll hear what Mr. Henderson says is special about my voice. Your devoted fan, Sarah Mitchell. Martha addressed the envelope to Graceland, Elvis's famous mansion, though she had little hope it would ever reach him. Important men like Elvis Presley didn't read fan mail from poor girls in shabby apartments. But she saw the hope shining in Sarah's face, and she couldn't bear to crush it. 3 weeks passed with no response. Martha watched as Sarah's excitement gradually dimmed, though the girl never complained. She just kept singing, kept practicing, kept pouring her heart into every note. Then, on a sweltering August afternoon, a black Cadillac pulled up outside their apartment building. A well-dressed man in sunglasses emerged, checked the address on a piece of paper, and knocked on their door. "I'm looking for Sarah Mitchell," he said when Martha answered, her heart pounding. "I'm Jerry Schilling, part of Mr. Presley's management team. He received her letter, and he'd like to meet her." Martha's hand flew to her mouth. Sarah, hearing the conversation from the kitchen, froze in place. "Mr. Presley was very moved by Sarah's letter," Jerry continued. "He's invited her to attend his concert this Saturday as his personal guest. And if she's willing, he'd like her to sing one song on stage with him during the show." The next few minutes were a blur of tears, disbelief, and joy. Jerry explained that Elvis had been touched by Sarah's sincerity and her story. He'd asked his team to find her, to verify that the letter was genuine, and to extend this invitation personally. "There's just one thing," Jerry said, his expression serious. "This needs to remain confidential until the concert. Mr. Presley wants it to be a surprise for the audience and a genuine moment. Can you keep this secret?" Sarah and Martha nodded vigorously, still unable to fully process what was happening. As Jerry handed them tickets and backstage passes, he smiled warmly. "Mr. Presley said to tell you that real talent deserves to be heard. And he has a feeling about you, Sarah. Don't let him down." After Jerry left, Martha and Sarah held each other and cried tears of joy and terror. In just 4 days, Sarah would stand on stage in front of 75,000 people and sing with Elvis Presley. The little girl who sang in the dark was about to step into the brightest spotlight imaginable. The Memphis Mid-South Coliseum was a cathedral of sound and light on that August night. 75,000 fans packed the venue, their excitement crackling through the humid Tennessee air like electricity. Elvis Presley was coming home, and Memphis had turned out in full force to welcome their king. Sarah sat backstage with Martha, her small hand gripping her grandmother's tightly. She could hear the roar of the crowd, feel the vibration of thousands of feet stomping in anticipation. The smell of popcorn and perfume and summer sweat filled her nostrils. Her heart hammered so hard, she thought it might burst from her chest. "You're going to be wonderful, baby," Martha whispered, though her own voice trembled. "Just sing like you do at home. Just let your heart speak." A hand touched Sarah's shoulder, and she jumped. "Easy there, sweetheart," came a warm, familiar voice, that voice she'd heard on the radio 1,000 times. "I'm Elvis. It's real nice to meet you, Sarah." Elvis Presley knelt down to Sarah's level, taking her hand gently in his. "I read your letter myself," he said softly. "Every word. And I want you to know something tonight isn't about being nervous or being perfect. It's about letting all those people out there feel what you feel when you sing. Can you do that for me?" Sarah nodded, her throat tight with emotion. "I'll try my best, Mr. Presley." "Call me Elvis," he said with a chuckle. "Now, I've heard you've got a powerful voice. I want you to come out during the gospel portion of my show. I'm going to introduce you, and then we're going to sing together. Just follow my lead, and remember you belong on that stage just as much as anyone else. You hear me?" For the next hour, Sarah listened from backstage as Elvis performed. His voice washed over the crowd like a blessing, each song building the energy higher and higher. She heard the screams, the applause, the collective intake of breath when he hit certain notes. This was what it meant to be truly great, she thought. This was the power of music, to unite thousands of strangers in a single moment. Then came the moment. Elvis's voice rang out across the Coliseum. "Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring out someone very special tonight. Her name is Sarah Mitchell. She's 12 years old. She's from right here in Memphis. And she's got a voice that I believe is truly blessed by God. The thing is, Sarah has never seen a concert, or a sunset, or even her own reflection. She's been blind since birth. But when you hear her sing, you'll understand that she sees things the rest of us can't. Please welcome Sarah Mitchell." Jerry Schilling guided Sarah onto the stage, and the crowd erupted. She could feel the heat of the lights, hear the thunderous applause, sense the magnitude of the moment. 75,000 people were watching her, a poor blind girl in a simple white dress that Martha had stayed up all night pressing, and pressing. Elvis took her hand as she reached center stage. "Don't be scared," he whispered. "I'm right here with you. You ready?" The music began a slow, soulful arrangement. Elvis had chosen a traditional spiritual, a song that Sarah knew by heart. And then he did something unexpected. He stepped back, giving her the first verse alone. Sarah's voice, small at first, rose into the air. And then something magical happened. As her confidence grew, her voice transformed. It wasn't just singing, it was prayer. It was pain. It was hope. It was every emotion a human heart could hold, all poured into melody. Her voice soared through the Coliseum, pure and powerful, finding every corner of the massive space. The crowd fell silent. Completely, utterly silent. 75,000 people held their breath as this blind child sang with the voice of an angel. As Sarah's voice filled the Coliseum, something extraordinary happened. Her initial nervousness had evaporated, replaced by something deeper, a connection to the music that transcended sight, transcended fear, transcended everything except pure emotion. Elvis stood behind her, and those close enough to see his face would later report that his expression changed. The showman's smile faded, replaced by something raw and unguarded. His eyes grew bright with unshed tears as he listened to this child sing with more soul than performers twice her age. When it came time for Elvis to join her in harmony, his voice cracked slightly on the first note. Those who knew him well recognized this. Elvis only broke like that when something touched him deeply. He recovered quickly, his rich baritone blending with Sarah's crystalline soprano in a way that made the hair stand up on the arms of everyone listening. In the crowd, people were openly weeping. Grown men who'd come to hear rock and roll found themselves crying like children. Mothers held their babies closer. Couples who'd been arguing in the car ride overreached for each other's hands. Music had become something more than entertainment. It had become transcendent. As the song built toward its climax. Sarah's voice rose higher and higher, each note seemingly impossible, but landing with perfect precision. She wasn't performing anymore. She was channeling something divine. Her face, tilted slightly upward toward lights she couldn't see, glowed with an inner radiance. Elvis moved closer to her, and as they sang the final verse together, tears were streaming openly down his face. The king of rock and roll, the man who'd performed for presidents and queens, was crying on stage. Not from sadness, but from being in the presence of something holy. The final note hung in the air, Sarah holding it with impossible strength. Elvis's harmony underneath like a foundation of solid stone. And then silence. For 3 full seconds, 75,000 people simply stood in stunned quiet. Then the Coliseum exploded. The ovation was deafening, a wall of sound that seemed to shake the very structure of the building. People weren't just clapping. They were on their feet, screaming, crying, hugging strangers beside them. It was the kind of applause that comes once in a lifetime, maybe once in a generation. Elvis pulled Sarah into a tight embrace, and the microphones picked up his words. God bless you, child. God bless you. His voice was thick with emotion, his shoulders shaking. Later, backstage, Elvis sat with Sarah and Martha for nearly an hour. The show had continued. He'd performed his hits, given the crowd what they'd paid for, but everyone knew that Sarah's moment had been the real heart of the evening. I've been doing this for 20 years, Elvis told them, his voice hoarse from performing and emotion. I've sung for millions of people. But what happened out there tonight, that was something different. That was the purest thing I've ever been part of. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a check, pressing it into Martha's hand. When she looked down and saw the amount enough to pay off their debts, and then some she tried to refuse, but Elvis wouldn't hear it. Talent like Sarah's needs to be nurtured, he said firmly. She needs proper training, proper opportunities. This is just the beginning for her, if you'll allow it to be. He made phone calls right there, connecting Sarah with music teachers and producers who owed him favors. He promised to personally mentor her when his schedule allowed. He told them that Memphis, that the world needed to hear what Sarah could do. As Jerry drove them home that night, Sarah and Martha sat in silence, processing everything that had happened. The check in Martha's purse represented a new life. The contacts in her pocket represented a new future. But more than that, Sarah had proven something that night. She had proven that darkness doesn't diminish light sometimes, it makes it shine brighter. She had proven that disability is only a limitation if we accept it as one. And she had proven that when real talent meets real opportunity, magic happens. Grandma, Sarah whispered as they pulled up to their apartment. Did I really make Elvis Presley cry? Martha squeezed her hand, her own tears flowing freely. Baby, you made everyone cry, and you made everyone believe in miracles again. Sarah Mitchell's story didn't end that night, it began. With Elvis's support and mentorship, she went on to have a remarkable career, though she never forgot where she came from or the man who believed in her when no one else did. But the real lesson of that August night in 1974 isn't just about Sarah, or even about Elvis. It's about the power of courage, the importance of believing in yourself, and the magic that happens when talent meets opportunity. What's your story? What's the gift inside you that the world needs to hear? Don't wait for permission. Don't wait until you feel ready. Sarah didn't have sight, but she had courage. She wrote a letter that changed everything. What's your letter? What's your stage? Share this story with someone who needs to hear it today. Tag someone who has a dream they're afraid to chase. And remember, somewhere right now, someone is waiting to witness the moment you finally step into your light. Your moment is waiting. Will you take the stage? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's inspire each other to be brave.